On April 21st, 2024, a strange video surfaced online entitled "A Fresh Start." The clip was uploaded to a mysterious channel called Friends Not Found. At first, things appear normal. We're watching Minecraft footage of a player who has just started a new world. They approach a tree and break it, picking up the dropped logs. After about a minute and 15 seconds, we notice something odd, a structure in the distance. It appears to be made of several slabs of a dark block. But the player doesn't notice it, instead turning and walking in the other direction. Just a few seconds later, we see another anomaly, a couple of bedrock blocks on the surface of the overworld, very out of place. As the video continues, the sun begins to set and the player retraces their steps. And this time, they notice the structure, pausing to stare at it for a few moments. We also get a better look at the bedrock blocks, where we can see that some of the tree has been replaced. Despite this being the first day, the player is yet to construct any sort of shelter, and they're unable to skip the night. Instead, they decide to do some mining, choosing, for some reason, to dig straight down. The video jump cuts to the next day. We know some time has passed since the player's hotbar has a different set of items. The black structure in the distance is still there, and the person recording decides that it's time to investigate. They craft a boat and enter it. We learn from the UI that this is Minecraft Bedrock on the Nintendo Switch. The player soon reaches the other side, and we find that the structure is different than when we first saw it. Instead of floating slabs, it's been filled in, creating a solid box. We cannot quite tell what blocks have been used in the construction, but one chilling fact seems clear. The world is changing without the knowledge of the player. Suddenly, the screen becomes distorted, accompanied by a strange noise. After a moment of black, the video jumps ahead. It is nighttime once more. Now, the player is in the process of building out their house with wooden planks. They break grass blocks to replace them with flooring. Out of nowhere, the recording becomes noisy with a change in the audio. It goes away after a few seconds. The player heads towards a nearby village, but it feels very eerie for some reason, and we realize that there are no villagers. Come to think of it, there have been no mobs at all in this entire video. Where have they gone? The player is here to steal some resources from the houses, especially a bed. But the first house they look at doesn't have one, so they break some wooden planks and move on to the next. After exploring the village for a couple of minutes, they return to the fountain in the center, breaking one of its torches. But when they go to get another one, they find that it's already missing. Someone has been here before. The player returns to their house and completes the roof, adding some torches to the exterior. After placing their bed, they look out the window for an uncomfortably long time. We see the stars move, indicating another cut in the video. Then, something else happens. Did you see it? For just a few frames, a little red dot appears on the player's crosshair. Maybe it's just a glitch or a compression artifact, or maybe there's something else going on here. The player goes to sleep. The next day, they walk away from the house. As they approach a shadowy cave, the video has the same distortion and weird sound as when the player went to the dark structure. The video then cuts to the player outside the cave. They dive underwater and begin mining some coal. However, their wooden pickaxe is too slow and they begin to drown. But instead of returning to the surface, the player does something odd. They dump all of their items, choosing instead to accept their fate. The video ends the instant before the player drowns. If we look closely at the final frame of the video, we'll see that there's some sort of dark shape to the right side of the image. Is this a glitch? A trick of the light? What is it that we're looking at here? While the content in the video we just watched was intriguing, things get even more interesting when we take a look at the description. August 6th, 2023. He has started anew. Hopefully he doesn't come here again. What follows is an incomprehensible sequence of ampersands and hashtags. Some of you in the audience will recognize these as HTML escape characters. HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, is the programming language that most websites are built upon. One way to print characters in HTML is to use these escape codes. This allows for the display of text that might otherwise be interpreted as code. Using an online tool, we can decode these escaped characters as plain text, and when we do so, we'll find that it contains a link to an unlisted YouTube video. The video is called Unused Zero. The description has what seems to be a computer error code of some type. Error loading file 2, disconnecting Mojang device. It also includes the date of July 15th, 2009, over 10 years earlier than the first video. As it begins, we'll notice that it occurs in Minecraft version 0.23a01, released on July 11th, 2009. This is a pre-alpha version of Minecraft, so old that survival mode didn't even exist. The footage was taken using a camera pointed at the screen. It shows a player walking around a world with a very low render distance, breaking the occasional block. About 35 seconds in, they find a single leaf block embedded in the ground. They destroy it, and the music suddenly stops. The player places a mushroom in the hole and the music continues. The track we're hearing is Subwoofer Lullaby, which is actually quite notable since this song would not be added to the game until 2010, over a year after this footage. How could it be here now? After a little more exploration, the video cuts to black. When we return, we're in a different location. It's unclear if this is a new world or not. The player walks forward to discover a couple of leaf blocks on the ground. They break them one by one, replacing each with a mushroom. The music pauses briefly each time. Up the hill, there are even more leaves, and the player continues to swap them for mushrooms. Then they stumble across something rather different. 6 leaf blocks embedded into the ground in the shape of a cross. They place a single mushroom in the center. Suddenly, there's an abrasive noise, and we see a cross in the air in front of the player. It only exists for a brief moment, but the colors have shifted and the hotbar is in a different order. Since the patterns on the screen are the same, we know that this is being shown on screen. It hasn't been edited in after the recording. Then the video cuts once more to the player in a different place. They see another leaf block, but this time they don't break it. They walk around for a bit, and suddenly... In many ways, Unused Zero is more confusing than the first video. It's unclear how the two are related. It's a totally different version of Minecraft at a completely different point in time. Perhaps the description will help us understand what's happening here. Beneath the error message, we find a long sequence of numbers with a few letters sprinkled throughout. This is what's known as ASCII, a way for computers to encode text characters as numbers. By using an ASCII to text decoder, we can read what it says. He's trying his best to ignore it. He's doing fine. As long as there are no interruptions this time, he should survive. You didn't give it up again, did you, Alfie? It seems to be a third person talking about the footage, and the text suggests that the person playing is male. Furthermore, there's the mention of a character named Alfie, although at this point we don't know anything about who they are. What are the interruptions that are referenced? Is this what the cross was? The following video is called Discovery 1. There's another message in the description, this time a warning. Backup complete. Issuing warning. July 14th, 2009. Suffer. The date indicates that Discovery 1 takes place 2 days earlier than Unused Zero. The footage is once again a camera recording of the same Minecraft version. It's probably the same person. But this time, the music is calm1.ogg, which did exist in this version. The player is in a house, and they've constructed rudimentary beds out of wool. The house seems to be very high up in the sky, as we cannot see any of the landscape outside of the window. What we can see, however, is another cross. Then the player is in a new place, next to a cobblestone path at the edge of the world. They follow it for a while. There's a tree to the left of the path, and the player turns to look at it, with another abrasive jump scare soon to follow. But this one is different. Instead of showing a leaf cross, we see a structure made of leaves with a single red mushroom in the center. After a cut, the player is back on the path. They descend into a cave as the music fades out. The player stares at a lava pool, and the video ends as they jump into it. Returning to the description, we find another code. This time, it's a long sequence of zeros and ones. This is ASCII once again, although in a slightly different format. It links to another unlisted YouTube video, entitled Home. The description of this video is simple. January 23rd, 2009. His home was here. He left it for another world. This is quite interesting because this video predates the existence of even the earliest versions of Minecraft. The video has no sound. Instead of a screen recording, we see what appear to be trees in the nighttime sky. Notice the stars. The camera is in motion, perhaps looking up from a moving vehicle. The video is only 16 seconds long, yet it ends quickly. We do not know whose home this is, and the ending of the description is provocative. He left it for another world? What does that mean? The next video is called Making Progress, and it returns to the Bedrock world. It was recorded on August 8, 2023, 2 days after the original A Fresh Start video. The description again has a comment seemingly by some third party. He has made significant improvements to his life, but he is still interrupted. The player has, in fact, made some progress. Their house has windows, and they've upgraded to iron tools. Convenient signs indicate a farm and a mine. The player descends into it, taking the ladder to the bottom. The video cuts forward to the player mining some coal in a cave. They continue to mine throughout until about 2 minutes and 55 seconds, when something strange happens. The player is suddenly teleported to the overworld, ending up in what could be described as a dreamlike state, with washed out colors and audio reverb. This is apparently the same player at the same point in time, as the hotbar is identical to what it was in the mine, including experience levels, health, and hunger. We once again see a path of leaf blocks, just like the Unused Zero video. As the player breaks one, we can just barely hear the footsteps of something approaching. We snap back to reality and we're back in the cave, mining straight down. After a few moments, the player falls, landing in an unexpected cavern. They continue for a couple of minutes before eventually digging downwards once again. We hear a cave sound just as the player stumbles across diamonds. They mine them and then continue their descent until they reach bedrock. The player places a torch and creates a staircase downward. At the lowest bedrock level, the player breaks a deep slate block and stumbles across something unexpected, a hole in the bedrock. This clearly confuses the player and they spend a couple of seconds looking at it. This is a good opportunity to dump some of their junk items, and they proceed to do just that. Then, they move their diamonds to the hotbar and stare at the hole for over 10 seconds, perhaps contemplating some odd desire to throw their treasure into the emptiness. When they turn around to go back up, something has changed. The deep slate hallway has been replaced with bedrock, preventing a return to the surface. The player goes back to the hole. The call of the void proves to be irresistible, and the player jumps in, looking up to see the world. The video ends just before their death. If you've been paying attention, you'll notice that we've now seen two odd things with bedrock blocks on this world. A situation with bedrock being where it shouldn't, and a situation where bedrock that should be there is missing. Whether these two instances are related is not clear, but the mirror image between them is notable. There's something else worth mentioning. Throughout all of these videos, it's hard to escape the sense that the player isn't always acting in a completely logical way. They seem to do strange things, like waiting until nighttime to construct their first house, or their repeated decision to dig straight down. They've also let their player die a few times in preventable ways, including drowning in the first video when jumping into the void in this one. Something about this player just feels off. That's not to mention the modifications to their world while they're still in it. It makes me wonder if the entity is affecting the player in more sinister ways. The description of making progress includes more ASCII. This decodes to a different sequence of letters and numbers. It turns out that this is the base 32 encoding system, a somewhat uncommon way of representing text on computers. Thankfully, base 32 decoders exist online, revealing a link to another unlisted video, entitled Dreams. September 25th, 2010. Life could be a dream. Now it is his dream. Dreams contains a sequence of 9 still images. The background music is a slowed version of Shaboom by The Chords. I've provided a link to this video in the description as I can't play the music for copyright reasons. However, the chorus of the song has a repeated line. Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream. Some of the images in this video are from Alpha Minecraft, and the similar hotbars indicate that they were all screenshots taken on the same world. From the date, we can tell that this is Java Edition Alpha version 1.1.201. The first image shows the player in a dark cave. while slightly creepy on its own, it seems to me that this is a normal screenshot. The same is true for the second image, which has the player on a long grass path. There's a chicken in front and a zombie just visible in the distance. These are the first two mobs that we've seen in this entire series. The following image shows a cobblestone structure. It seems as though we're on the same path looking in the other direction. Once again, there's nothing really wrong with this image, it just seems like a normal Minecraft Alpha screenshot. The fourth Minecraft image is similar. It has a torch illuminating a cave at night. We can tell that it's taken from an elevated dirt path, which makes me think that it's the same path from the other image. The fifth screenshot seems to be from a different location altogether. It looks out over a beautiful landscape, but for some reason the cursor is missing. There's also one other tiny little error. On the right-hand side is a single red dot. It reminds me of the dot that we saw in A Fresh Start. But that was on Bedrock in 2023. Could this dot from 2010 really be related? The final Minecraft image takes place at night again, on the surface of the overworld. The player is looking at something in the distance. If we look closer, we can see that there is something there. Is it a trick of the light? A compression artifact? What exactly are we looking at here? It seems kind of similar to the shape that we saw at the end of A Fresh Start, but this is a totally different version of Minecraft over a decade earlier. There's no way that it's the same thing, right? But this video is about to get weirder because there are three images that are not from Minecraft. The first is a photograph of what seems to be an office, but it's not likely to be from a recent one. The typewriter suggests that this image was taken a while ago, perhaps the 1990s or earlier. The next image is also from an office, but this time it's totally empty. The lights are off and the only illumination is coming from natural sunlight through the windows. Is this the same place as the first picture? If so, it's almost certainly from a different point in time, before or after the desks and typewriters. Finally, there's an image of a wide hallway, again conspicuously empty. The quality of these photographs is so low that it's difficult to see details that might be helpful for identifying their location. While it seems plausible that they all show the same place, there's nothing that confirms it for sure. Either way, the reason for their existence is confusing. How do they relate in any way to the Minecraft images that make up the rest of the video? If we examine the description, we'll see that Dreams also has a code. The punctuation suggests that this is another YouTube video. Our initial guess is that this may be a Caesar cipher. This works by shifting each letter along the alphabet. Since there are only 26 possible combinations, we can easily try each one. While we seem sort of close, none of them work exactly right. We can't manage to get the initial HTTPS that we would expect. It turns out that this is a keyed Caesar cipher. It's the same as a regular Caesar cipher, but with one difference. The alphabet that we rotate through has a key at the beginning. The letters are then rotated using this new sequence instead of the regular alphabet. The key was discovered by a user on the official RGN Discord server, and it's Alfie, the only named character that we've seen so far. Using this keyed alphabet, we can reveal a link. And suddenly, we're no longer on the Friends Not Found channel. Now we're on a different one altogether, called Ryan Harshus. The name of this video is He's Still Here, and the description is somewhat disconcerting. Why is he still here? Why is he still following me? What do you mean I'm next? That's impossible. The experiment should have worked. I'm innocent, right? Am I innocent? This video has no sound, and it shows another sequence of images. This time, there are subtitles, mostly written in blue with the occasional flashes of red. Guys, he's here. Error. He's been following me for quite some time now. I don't know if he'll ever give up. No. I wish he'd let go. Life is short and he knows that by now. He is someone. The video ends with 3 additional shots of trees, similar to the home video. 2 of them are now taken in the daytime, and one of them is a vertical nighttime shot. Let's unpack what we just saw, starting from the beginning. Ryan talks about someone or something that has been following him for quite some time. The first text appears to be a dark image, but if we brighten it, we can actually see that there's additional handwritten text in the back. It says "Who" alongside a bunch of smiley faces. In fact, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. If we go back to A Fresh Start, the cut at 5 minutes and 28 seconds has what appears to be the same drawing, although in much less detail. The next shot has a playground at night. Although it's creepy on its own, I wasn't able to find anything hidden in the darkness. Then we see another connection to the Friends Not Found channel, the Minecraft screenshot with the red dot and missing crosshair. But this one has a change at the end. We see the dark shape appear, this time with a red streak. On the left-hand side, the text says, "No." The subtitles seem to suggest that Ryan is fleeing from this shadowy entity. These pictures are an attempt to document it as it pursues him. But immediately following is another real-life image, this time a censored sign of a wilderness club. It changes briefly and the censorship is different, replaced by squiggles. Finally, there's the shot from underneath a staircase. It switches to another dark blob, this time with a white sphere inside of it. This sequence is quite bizarre. It almost suggests that the thing pursuing Ryan also affects him in real life. At least he thinks so, as his photographs are an attempt to prove it to others. However, there's an alternate explanation. It's possible that the entity has modified these photographs after the fact. That would explain why we see two versions of them. One is normal and one that has been changed. These photographs represent a broader shift in the series that's become increasingly prevalent, additional connections to the world outside of Minecraft. And it turns out that these pictures were actually taken in a real place, a resort called the Wilderness Club at Big Cedar in Ridgedale, Missouri, United States. Looking at it in Google Maps, we can see the same playground as the first photograph. We can also locate examples of the sign, although I was unable to find the exact one. I believe it's probably in front of one of these buildings because the railings and lights are the same as the picture from the video. Unfortunately, there's no Google Street View on these two rows, so I can't confirm it for sure. Presumably, the staircase picture was taken inside one of these buildings. At this point, we don't know the importance of this place. The text that we see suggests that Ryan Harshis was involved in some sort of experiment. The description seems to imply that he created it with the intent of removing the entity, but it didn't work. The entity continues to follow him. His fear of remaining innocent perhaps suggests that the experiment came at a cost to someone else. At this point, we don't know much about the entity at all, but its existence seems to be pervasive throughout this series to varying degrees of subtlety. At times it's just barely there, little more than an ominous vibe in the back of our mind, a slight visual bug that we can explain away if we wish. But other times it becomes much more bold, even to the point of responding to Ryan's subtitles in the video. And now we're presented with an interesting piece of evidence, a shadowy figure with a white sphere instead of a red streak. Is this the same thing? Or are there multiple anomalies at work here? With the introduction of the Ryan Harshis channel, we now have two places to watch for new videos. And while there is some overlap between the two, it's not clear if Ryan is the owner of both. The next upload remains on the new channel, and it's called Dimensional. The description says the following: March 28th, 2011. He interfered again. Before we dive in, now is a good time to talk about the timeline. Many of the videos we've seen have dates in the description, and these dates indicate that there are several distinct arcs that are being shown out of order. First are the videos that take place in 2009, the home video as well as the camera recordings of old Minecraft, including Discovery and Unused Zero. Then we have one video that takes place in 2010, Dreams, with the screenshots and the office photographs. Then there's also the 2023 videos. These are the gameplay recordings of Bedrock Edition. Dimensional takes place in March of 2011, after all the pre-alpha Minecraft footage and alpha screenshots, though well before the Bedrock gameplay of 2023. But you really wouldn't know it, because this video takes us somewhere quite unexpected indeed. That's right, this is footage of the original Super Mario Bros. It feels totally out of place, though there is one link to everything else. There are images of Minecraft during the level transitions. When Mario enters the first pipe, we see a very dark image. Adjusting the colors reveals that it's a screenshot. Hidden within is the red entity and the white entity, alongside text that says, "No more life." While this picture is low quality, doesn't it look sort of familiar? In fact, this screenshot was taken just before the start of the Making Progress video. Notice the same house, the same hotbar, and the same facing direction. But how could this be? Making Progress takes place in 2023, over a decade after the Dimensional video. It's not possible that a screenshot would exist at this point in time, right? When Mario enters the second pipe, we see a second Minecraft screenshot. This one also contains both a red dot and a white one, possibly confirming the existence of multiple entities. The text says, "It can't be him." We are inside of a cave looking out into a grass path with a torch visible. It's possible that this is the same world as the dream screenshots. Notice the path with the torches, as well as the castle-type structure in the distance. Could we be looking from the opposite side of the path? The dimensional video ends with Mario's death on an ill-timed jump. It concludes with one final image. This has quite a different feeling than anything else we've seen. It doesn't look realistic enough to be a photograph, and it doesn't really seem like a video game either. In fact, there are a lot of strange details, from broken railings to bizarre objects to inconsistent physical space. This picture has all the signatures of AI generation. Furthermore, it has no clear connection to anything else we've seen. It feels somewhat out of place, but maybe that's the entire point. Is there a reason that this is here? The next video returns to the Friends Not Found channel. The description tells us that this takes place one day after Dreams. September 26, 2010. Did he make it out alive? Error. Alfie has joined the game. Error. Ryan has joined the game. Error. Alfie has left the game. We learn that Alfie and Ryan have interacted with each other before, at least in a virtual space. The video itself is quite simple, a 3-second image with no sound. Brightening it seems to show that it's a grid of some kind. Come to think of it, this actually looks kinda similar to the channel profile picture. Now's a good opportunity to poke around and see if there's anything else interesting to find. The banner is the screenshot of Minecraft seen in He's Still Here. This is another direct overlap with Ryan Harsis. The channel description contains a long sequence of letters and numbers followed by His home is here. The text is encoded using a scheme known as Base 64. Decoding it reveals the following. They have to be here, they have to be here, they have to be here, they have to be here. Why is the agony so unbearable? That seems somewhat concerning. Similarly so for the YouTube handle, which is No One Heard You Screaming. In the links section, we find a website with the title Life Was His Dream, which connects to the website endlessfurthermoreiskey.com. Unfortunately, this website does not exist. The next video remains on the Friends Not Found channel and is called New Home. August 8th, 2023. Another home gone. We're back on the Bedrock world. Remember, in the previous Bedrock video, the player jumped into the hole in the bottom of the world, presumably dying in the void. Now they're back at the house and things have changed. There are no chests, no torches, and no windows. It is nighttime and raining. The player exits the house to find that the sign by the front door has been replaced with one that says, Death. They turn and see that the farm is gone too, with a different sign including a code. We'll take a look at this in a moment. Next, the player heads towards their mine, where the sign now says, Go down. The player enters to discover that the ladders are gone. Now it's a long fall, thankfully with powdered snow at the bottom. The player turns around to see that the hole to the void has changed. Now there are 4 bigger holes. At the end is a single leaf block surrounded by torches. This is a clear similarity to the 2009 pre-alpha videos. The player stands on it and breaks the leaves, falling into the void again. There's a loading screen and we're back at the house, but it's been modified. Now all the blocks have been replaced with leaves. The player has a single red mushroom in their inventory. The sign on the hill is also changed, replaced with one that says, Friends Not Found. The mine shaft has been covered by a leaf block with a sign simply reading, Alone. Not sure I expected a reference to a hit RGN video in this series, but I'll take it. The player turns around to discover something chilling. The leaf cross. This is the first time we've seen it outside of the 2009 pre-alpha videos. Now the connection is undeniable. Whatever was happening then has begun to happen now. For some unknown reason, the player understands that the leaf block and mushroom interact. They throw the mushroom on the block, triggering a loud static noise. The video goes white. Now let's return to the encoded sign. This is another hexadecimal ASCII code, which links to an unlisted YouTube video. Error, title not found. The description tells us that this is from April 1st, 2010. This would put it after the pre-alpha videos, but before Dreams. But when we actually watch the video, we're presented with a very different timestamp, November 28th, 1990. The footage itself seems to match this date. It appears as though we're watching a VHS tape. Welcome to BSide Industries by Ryan Harshis, CEO of the B9 District. The B-Side's main goal is to help game companies develop special AI for their games. Employees Gina Marcos and Alfie Gindal are also part of the B9 sector. The B9 sector's main goal is to develop the AI and test it in games. Some AI have gone wrong. There's a brief sequence of images followed by a conversation. Isn't he still up to it? I think he gave up. Did you just start again? No. No, no, no. No, no. No, 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 no. No, no. No, no, no. Error title not found provides quite a bit of interesting information. We now know that in the 1990s, Ryan Harshis ran a company that developed AI for games, and that Alfie Gindal was one of his employees. We're also introduced to a third character, Gina Marcos. This knowledge helps explain some of the odd moments that we've previously seen. For example, the office space pictures from Dreams are possibly photographs of the BSide Industries office. The technology is in a style that would match the timeline. What's more interesting, though, is the random footage of Super Mario in Dimensional. Could this be a B9 AI learning to play the game? Taking this a step further, these revelations also suggest a potential explanation for the strange anomalies that we've been seeing. Could these red and white blobs indicate the presence of a rogue B9 AI? It would explain why we see the things in the Minecraft world constantly changing independently of the player. Furthermore, these entities are featured prominently on Ryan Harshis' YouTube channel, who we just learned was the CEO of BSide Industries in the 90s. But that's sort of the problem with this theory. The company was from the 1990s. We have no indication if it still exists. And if it doesn't, it seems highly unlikely that an AI system from the 20th century would be able to do anything meaningful in a complex game like Minecraft. Nevertheless, we cannot ignore the persistent anomalies, which begin with the leaf crosses in the 2009 pre-alpha footage. What's the deal with these anyways? The end of Title Not Found has an image of a cross in what appears to be a graveyard. Perhaps this indicates that the other crosses we've seen are intended to be headstones. The obvious implication is that this cross is being used as a symbol of death. There are a few additional pieces of evidence to support this idea. The very first cross we see is in Unused Zero. Just a few moments later, the player falls down the glass mineshaft, presumably to their death. In Discovery 1, the cross is seen outside the player's window. Less than a minute later, they jump into a lava pool. Then, when we see the cross in the 2023 Bedrock world, it's next to a sign that says "Friends Not Found." Are the friends not found because they're no longer alive? There are other references too, such as the dark screenshots from Dimensional that say "No More Life." This video also ends in death when Mario collides with the Koopa. Or what about when the house sign in New Home was replaced with one that said "Death"? Is death the new home of the player? The puzzle pieces to the story are on the table, and while we've made a few connections, we still don't have enough to see the full picture. I haven't even mentioned the fact that all of the crosses are leaves, or that the red mushroom is often seen as well. At this point, all we can do is continue onward to find more information. The next video is called Entity Tag Player Removed Error, and it continues the Bedrock arc. The description says that Alfie interfered for the last time. The video picks up with the player throwing their mushroom on the leaf block. They're suddenly teleported to a different version of the world. It appears as though we're watching this through a VHS, unlike the clean feed of the previous Bedrock videos. The player is standing on a path of leaves they did not build, a situation that seems awfully similar to the cobblestone path from Discovery 1. A switch into the third person reveals that there is a red mushroom on the grass block. Furthermore, the player's skin has turned into leaves, now crinkly and textured. We watch as the player follows the leaf path into the dark structure, which is changed again. Now, there's an iron door at the entrance. The player pushes a button to open it and walks in, breaking 2 leaf blocks in the process. The interior of the structure is a hallway made of leaves. On the walls are item frames which contain red mushrooms. However, there is one that's been broken and is floating as an item on the ground. The player picks it up and places it back into the frame. At the end of the hallway, the player falls into another hole, eventually ending up in the void beneath the bedrock. We can see that this time there are multiple other similar holes. Then they're teleported once again to the leaf path. Now, the distortion is much more digital in nature, similar to the player's first encounter with the dark structure in A Fresh Start. The player circles the box, but there's no other entrance. They stop and examine a dandelion. They break it and... For the third time, we're back on the leaf path. The distortion has switched back to be like a VHS, and it's more intense than the first time. The player enters the structure, replaces the mushroom, and drops down the hole. And we're back on the path for the fourth time. Are we trapped in a loop? Is this the Decayed? Well, the distortion is more intense than ever, and there are in fact missing blocks from the structure. The iron door and several of the leaf blocks have been destroyed, item frames and mushrooms missing. At the end are several signs that say error. The hole to the void has been replaced with a bedrock block and a red mushroom. The player breaks it, triggering a brief BSide Industries title ending the video. Interestingly, it seems that every time the player enters the void, the world decays a little bit more. Let's keep an eye out for this as we continue. The next video, Transferred, picks up right here. After the BSide Industries title, we see two dark VHS images. One has crosses in the rain, and the other is a photograph of several chairs in a room. Then the player teleports. This time they're back in their house. The glass windows have been fixed, but the distortion is more intense than ever. We hear a lightning strike. Suddenly there's a loud buzzer, and we can barely see the red and blue error screen superimposed. Another teleport. The player turns around to see that they're next to another portal. They enter it. We see a loading screen, but the game that loads in is Super Mario Bros., this time on World 1-1. Mario is by the flagpole, and they touch it to complete the level. This causes yet another Minecraft loading screen, but again, we're in a different game. This time it's Super Mario 64. Mario is moving around the princess's castle. Suddenly, there's a brief moment of additional distortion. The video ends with a black and white camera shot of the real world. The audio is far too distorted to make anything out. Before we continue, let's examine the description, which says, August 9th, 2023. He is placed into his other worlds he has created for him. It didn't work. Whoever is playing this game is being moved around between lots of different worlds that have been created for him. These worlds can apparently even be games other than Minecraft. The mechanics of all this remains quite muddy, and we don't know who created these worlds or is even playing. We have no choice but to continue onward. The video entitled Retrieval follows immediately after Transferred. The handheld footage continues. Suddenly, there's a shot of the entity with an error screen. We can just make out the text Alfie beneath it. The video goes dark, and when we return, we're looking at grass on the ground. The camera footage is very shaky, and we hear a weird synthetic whining sound. When the footage switches to a vignette of the Minecraft world, we realize that this sound is a distorted version of the background music. The world that we see is a house of the same shape that was seen in Discovery. However, it's from a modern version of Minecraft. We can see the updated hotbar. Then we're back to the handheld footage where we hear another alien-like noise. What follows is a fever dream replay of the player removed video, with dark blobs interspersed and other strange imagery. Bizarre noises are heard, including the same cave sound from the Making Progress video. The footage cuts once more to the handheld camera with continuing distortion and strange noises. We hear sound effects of running and heavy breathing. Suddenly, we see an image of a hallway superimposed. It disappears and is replaced with an ominous title, No One Came for Him. The video suddenly circles around a strange object in the footage and begins to zoom in, accompanied by otherworldly sounds. Then the video ends. The description indicates that this is from January 23rd, 2009, the earliest video we've seen on the channel. The text is disconcerting. A horrible event has happened. What does this mean? What sort of event? What is being retrieved? Why does the footage go from Minecraft gameplay to Super Mario to this strange real-life montage? Unfortunately, we're going to have to answer these questions in a future video. Friends Not Found is a huge and complex ARG, and it's one that's still going. There's no way that I could cover all of it at once, and this felt like a logical breakpoint. If you're interested in a follow-up video, let me know by subscribing. I'm very curious to see where the series goes. I think it's really creative and has a lot of interesting detail. I hope you feel the same way. If you would like to discuss Friends Not Found, join the official RGN Discord with a link in the description. Also, I'm currently finishing up a piece of concert band music called Trials of the Unknown. It would be playable by a decent high school or college band. I've already had over 50 people sign up for the waitlist to play it. If you're a band student and want a chance to play a piece by me, click on the link in the description to be notified of the full release. It would be really interesting if someone from the community would be able to play this music, something that I'm not sure has happened on YouTube before. We will go ahead and end with that. This has been RGN. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day.